Hi everyone, Vanessa here, and welcome to Passport Pages. And today we're going to talk about things we wish we'd known before we went to Jamaica. With stunning beaches, jaw-dropping waterfalls, and incredible resorts, it's no surprise that Jamaica is such a Caribbean favorite for so many travelers. But there are many things that visitors are usually completely unaware of, or incorrect assumptions that are made that are very important to know beforehand, as many of my viewers have found out the hard way. So I have some really important things you need to know whether you're new to Jamaica, if you have been to Jamaica before and are going back, or even if you're a veteran, believe me, there will be stuff here for you. So let's get started. First off, transportation is pricey. Most people never realize this, as most visitors and many of my viewers get round-trip transportation to and from the airport included in their all-inclusive resort stay. So as a result, many guests are caught off guard if they travel anywhere off the resort. But taxis cost quite a bit, especially if you're not staying at a resort where transportation is included from the airport. That 90-minute or 2-hour drive from the airport to your resort in Montego Bay or Ocho Rios or Negril can set you back quite a bit, possibly hundreds. So factor that in if your resort does not include transportation. If you're looking to explore more of the island as opposed to just 1 or 2 excursions, definitely rent a car. You'll save a ton. Just beware the cars drive on the left side, and drivers can be quite aggressive on the island as well. The cheapest alternative, of course, is buses. Just be sure you stick with reputable companies where you can research reviews. And they can be pretty aggressive as well and are known to pass cars on 2-lane highways. I almost screamed the first time I witnessed it, but now I'm used to it. So bottom line, just be careful with transportation in general. Homophobia is sadly still a thing. My husband and I have never personally witnessed it, but I know of some travelers who've had issues with this, even some of my viewers, and I've gotten questions about it as well. Is it as rampant as it once was? No. Is it still a problem? Unfortunately, yes, it is. So LGBTQ travelers should be extremely cautious. Gay male couples seem to have more issues than females since it is illegal for men and not women. But regardless, there are still occasional incidents of violence towards openly gay individuals, with numerous documented assaults, harassments, and even murders. And the big question, are visitors targeted? Not nearly as much as citizens, and usually it might be an inappropriate comment or subpar service, things like that. Most people advise that if you are an LGBTQ visitor, to refrain from public displays of affection and expressing sexual orientation to strangers. I won't say that. I think you should be able to be free to do what you want when visiting, just like everyone else. So really take this into consideration when planning a trip if you think this might be an issue for you, as there are many other Caribbean islands where, thankfully, this is not a problem. Marijuana is illegal. It really makes me laugh when people picture weed smoking all over every Jamaican resort, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Marijuana is actually illegal in Jamaica, and possession was a pretty serious offense until 2015, when possession of small amounts, up to 2 ounces or 56.6 grams, was reduced to a petty offense. If you visit a Rastafarian village, you might see it being used in religious ceremonies. That's one of the few exceptions. But the funny thing is, you as a visitor can procure it very easily. In most cases, you don't even have to leave the beach. Vendors will walk right up to you in front of your resort and offer it. But don't worry, if you're not interested, a simple no thank you always does the trick. Try the local food. This is definitely one of the things I wish I had known the most before I first visited. We all get so caught up in our all-inclusive resorts dining options, especially at the mega resorts with so many restaurants to choose from, that we all, myself included, forget about the local cuisine. And let's be honest, most resorts do not serve food that is an accurate reflection of what locals eat at all, which is a shame, because it's delicious. From jerk chicken, curried goat, and oxtail stew, I encourage you to try it all. Even stop by a jerk shack on the side of the road. They have some of the best food with rice and peas or kidney beans, fried plantains, sauteed callaloo, which is like spinach type of greens, and bami or cassava flatbread. Those are just some typical sides that are incredible. And then, of course, there's the national dish of saltfish and ackee, which is a fruit, and most locals eat that for breakfast. And then you can wash it all down with a strong cup of Jamaican coffee, which is some of the best in the world. And a typical local lunch or dinner would be Jamaican patties, which are pastries made of dough and filled with meats or veggies, and a locally brewed red stripe beer. So branch out and try some of the local food because you're really missing out if you don't. Everything is laid back, including schedules. This is one of the most important things to know because most of us visit for 6 or 7 days on average and try to squeeze as much into a short visit as possible. And if that includes excursions and some off-site exploration, you have to go into your visit realizing that this country operates on island time. So you will need to loosen your expectations on wait times and punctuality. The Yemen spirit isn't just a catchphrase they like to tell tourists. It's legit how they live their life, which we quickly discovered when we first visited. So factor extra time in for everything. Dinner times, excursions, and transportation pickup times, but especially for your return to the airport because that will likely be off schedule as well. And of course, you don't want to miss your flight. So whatever the ride is estimated to take, double the time and plan accordingly. You don't want to be uptight on vacation either, so just add a lot of cushion time to whatever you're doing. That way you can stay on schedule, but still stay as relaxed as the locals. And trust me, knowing this is one of the most important pieces of advice I can give you about visiting Jamaica. Use US dollars, but have both currencies on hand. Usually when you travel to a foreign country, one of the first things you do is either exchange money at a bank beforehand or find a local ATM to withdraw the country's currency. But in Jamaica, if you're a visiting American, you will not need to do any of the above, as US dollars are not only accepted pretty much everywhere, but preferred. In our visits, we're always quoted prices in US dollars, especially at tourist-friendly excursions and restaurants, where you'll see most prices listed on signs and menus in US dollars as well. Of course, if you're traveling off the beaten path or planning on spending cash at supermarkets or on street vendors, in those cases, you should definitely have some local currency on you. And as a general rule of travel, it's wise to have both currencies on hand in case of a poor exchange rate. So bottom line, while it's not necessary to exchange dollars in Jamaica, try to have both US and Jamaican dollars just in case you find yourself wanting to spend money where the American dollar might not be accepted. Hurricane season is risky. This might seem like a duh, that's obvious type of statement, but hold on, because I don't do that on my channel. As I've said repeatedly in my videos, the worst of the hurricane season is almost always between the end of August and beginning of October. Although technically it's June through November, but since our anniversary is in September and we've had many a trip ruined, trust me, the worst usually is in that 6-week period, which is also when Jamaica gets the heaviest rain. Now, many Caribbean islands that are located in the hurricane belt fortunately don't get hurricanes all that often. Jamaica isn't one of them. They always get something, whether it's a tropical storm or official hurricane, they always seem to be in the bad path. And like I said, at the very least, they get quite a bit of rainfall during these weeks. Since our honeymoon, we've always purchased travel insurance. And if you're going to travel during this 6-week period, it's a must. You just have to. Even if you don't get a hurricane, if you see that the weather is going to be terrible, depending on your insurance, you should be able to reschedule for a better time, which I've talked about in detail in my travel insurance video. Now, the upside is that these months are the low season in the Caribbean, so rates are usually at their lowest, both for flights, but especially for resort room rates. But if you're really concerned about the risk, even with travel insurance, and I don't blame you, schedule your Jamaica visit between January and May, which is peak season. Yes, you'll be paying more, but at least you won't have to deal with the worry of your trip being ruined. Tourist areas are safe. I used to get asked this question a lot. Is Jamaica safe? It's very irresponsible to just make a blanket statement that a country isn't safe without giving specific details or precautions. But unfortunately, many people do that, which has created a stigma around the country. Like any country, including the US, there are safe areas in Jamaica and unsafe areas as well. But if you look up actual statistics, most of the violent crime is locals among themselves.